Hello there, my name is Ben Finley. I'm currently sitting in the sunroom at a beautiful place called the Lodge at Sun Valley, or the Sun Valley Lodge. The date is February 26. I am the co-founder of the National Brotherhood of Skiers.
Well, now, how did you come?
Excuse me, change that to March 26.
Yeah, and it went right by me. Well, I guess I would start by asking you what was it that got you into skiing? Why did you?
You really want to go that long, huh? Okay, no problem. Back in 1964, I was a young man dating a young lady in Los Angeles, California, and we decided that we wanted to go on a camping trip. And we drove up to Yosemite Valley and spent a beautiful weekend sleeping in a tent, chasing raccoons and watching bears. And on the way home out of the park, she says to me, I'd like to go learn how to, no, she says, let's go by the ski area. And I've never been to a ski area in my life. This is 1964. And so what could I say? I said, okay, let's go to the ski area. So there we are at wonderful Badger Pass, sitting on the deck in the sun, drinking margaritas, and watching people kill themselves as they came down the slopes. And she says to me, I want to learn how to ski. Uh-oh. The first thing that flashed in my mind, Rick, was dollar bills and broken legs, in that order. But being an amorous young man, I said to her, gee, how can I get out of this? And at this time in life, I was running a scuba diving club for North American Aviation. And I said to her, I'm looking for a dive partner. I said, if you can find a way to take diving lessons, scuba lessons, and pass your ocean checkout, I'll bring you back to Yosemite and we'll go skiing. And I thought that'd be the end of that. 6 weeks later, I was back in Yosemite Park, skiing on these long things called skis that came up to my wrist when they were held over my head. And I hated my first 4 lessons. But on the 5th lesson, I was able to do that wonderful thing called, at that time, a hockey stop. And I said, gee, this is not a bad sport. And that's how I got into it. And after that, I went back to grad school in New York City. And every 2 weeks, I rode a bus up to the local mountains, Bel Air, Pico Peak, other places close to New York City, fairly close. And that's where I really learned how to ski. And these buses happened to be run by a gentleman by the name of Dick Martin, who ought to be sitting here in my place. And Dick and his group it was a black organization, operated out of a little tiny shop in Harlem. But Dick and his group of instructors really taught me how to ski. And that was it. So I came back to California and things went from there.
So was Dick's group a ski club or?
It was a club called Four Seasons. And I ended up founding another club in Los Angeles called Four Seasons West. So I just pivoted on that issue. And Four Seasons West is now 54 years old. Okay. And I've been skiing for 57 years.
Well, you must have felt like you were in a better place to ski when you came out to the West. Did you go up to Mammoth then with Four Seasons, or where did you?
The first Four Seasons trip went back to Badger Pass because I was very comfortable there. And moreover, I knew that we could get group discounts by going to the National Park System. And we initially tried to get 12 people to get these discounts. Instead of getting 12, we ended up getting 35. Instead of driving up in a carpool, we ended up chartering a bus. And the next thing I knew, my buddy and I were in the ski club business. And it went from there. There is nothing in my life that has been planned. It just seems to be happen at the right place at the right time. And this skiing thing and the NBS is like taking a little bit of snow at the top of the mountain, making a snowball and letting it roll downhill. It goes from there.
Badger Pass is, Yosemite. That must have, did the outdoors sell itself to people who are, coming up and skiing like that? Or how, did you get repeat business? Do people keep coming?
Oh, yeah. Four Seasons West. Yes, the answer is, in that era, in fact, and still in this era, groups of people still attract groups of people of like mind, okay? And Four Seasons just happened to be the club in Los Angeles that drew a large number of people that had the funds and the means and the mindset to jump into this thing that they had never experienced before.
So did that lead you to try, were you kind of like inspiring people to ski?
I don't know whether I'd say I was inspiring. I was setting up opportunities for people to get together in an outdoor environment that ended up also being a social environment, okay, at the end of the ski day. And at that time, we used to have meetings on a regular basis, monthly club meetings that took place in hotels. And so basically, Four Seasons West became Four Seasons. I mean, we had activities at every season of the year, all of them outside. There were very few things inside. For example, we would go on camping trips. We would go water skiing. We would go whitewater rafting. All sorts of things that took people to the outdoor environment.
Did you sneak any scuba diving in there?
Not with Four Seasons, but I personally have scuba dived all over the world in various places. I'm a nut. My grandmother used to call me her jackass grandson. Okay.
So now, what was the motivation then to start the MBS? I mean, how did that come out of this club that you were involved with?
Rick, remember, everything is tied to a historical standpoint. In the early 70s, there was no internet, there was no social media. And we had a couple of ski clubs in Los Angeles, and we thought we were the only ones around. And then a friend of mine by the name of Joe Dorsey called me one day. He lived in Chicago and said, "Ben, there's another black ski club in Chicago." I said, "Nah, really?" And he put me in touch with my good friend, Art. Art and I had multiple conversations on the telephone. And in one of them, we came up with this idea of, gee, we ought to bring these clubs together and have an event, a week-long event. And so we sat down and wrote a proposal that we sent out to the known ski clubs and also to individual black skiers who we had met as we were running around doing our own individual thing. And at that point, what we decided, the ski clubs responded to this proposal in a very positive fashion. And we said, okay, why don't we just go ahead and book individual club reservations in Aspen in, I think it was February of 1973. And that's what each club did. And then 10 days before the event, we sent the Aspen Press a press release saying 350 black folks were coming to town. And Aspen got a little concerned. we got a little concerned, but it ended up great. It ended up great. Once Aspen found out that we could ski, that we were spending lots of money, and that we weren't burning the ski lodge down, everything became beautiful, and a new relationship was established. So that's how we got to Aspen. Once that happened, the ski industry is a very small world at that time. Every sales manager in every resort knew every other sales manager in every resort. And the next time we had a summit, it was in 1975, right here in Sun Valley. And that's how this whole thing got started.
So you've been coming to Sun Valley a long time.
Oh, we've had multiple events here. I don't know how many, but I've been here a lot of times.
So now, I guess...
5? They tell me 5 times back there. Okay.
So there were practical reasons then for forming the Brotherhood.
Sure. Let me take you back in history. This is 1973. This is just after the Black Power movement. Okay. We, as an African American community, felt more comfortable traveling in groups as opposed to individuals. And, you know, once you have a bus full of black folks on the mountain, nothing mattered anymore except we were there and had a good time and spent lots of money and could ski. And that's the bottom line. That's what caused it.
Yeah, it would seem like, too, it would just, improve relations all the way around with the skiing and, your community and feeling...
Well, definitely improved things for our community, I can tell you that. I mean, we're being inducted for introducing tens of thousands of people who spend hundreds of millions of dollars. So, yeah, it improved dramatically.
So, it was, but there must have been a real social camaraderie among the group, too.
Rick, I think the best way to explain this is for the past many years, any time that the National Brotherhood of Skiers, the NBS, is coming to town, we get calls from the locals that say, hey, what's the latest dance? Okay. And our events, after ski events, our happy hours, are always mobbed with locals who want to come in and participate in this fun. So we don't have any problems. We bring folks to us from the local community. And the last time we were here in Sun Valley, after Art and I and Peggy received the keys to the city, okay, from my friend Peter Hendricks, we went back, and Peter and I went back to River Run Lodge, and he sat there in amazement watching this thing go down. I mean, there were locals lining the stairs, there were locals on the dance floor. I mean, the place was packed. So we bring a spirit to this community, to any community that we visit.
50 years. I mean, you guys have been, it seems like it's been 50 years you've been.
Yeah, I'm a whole lot older. Yep, 50 years. I've been skiing for 57.
And friendships that have just, continued that whole time, I would think.
We have had more marriages and more grandchildren pop up out of this organization than you can shake a stick at. I've had experiences of being in airports doing my normal business and running into people there. And I say, gee, John, why are you here? He says, he's got this smile on his face. He says, I just went to visit Judy, blah, 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 blah. Right? So yes, this thing spreads and it's become a huge family.
Well,
that loves to get together every year, even after COVID.
Now, maybe we should talk a little bit about that whole COVID sequence that unfolded.
Do we really have to do that?
No, we don't have to do that at all.
What do you want to know?
Well, you guys were here, and it just was awful that. It obviously came from Seattle, and yet, there was some blame attached.
Yeah, we got blamed for it, but the community cleared it up. The community of Sun Valley itself never blamed the NBS. There was one negative press release that sort of intimated that. But Sun Valley itself quickly closed that down. And we haven't lost any relationship with the Sun Valley community.
Glad we got that on record.
Yep.
So what about this sport? What is it about skiing that keeps you coming back?
The thrill of it all. Standing at the top of a mountain, turning those skis loose downhill, feeling that edge set, feeling the wind in my face, and the control that I have on this mountain to go anywhere I want to go, to do anything I want to do. It's the same thing that you felt when you started this thing, or when you feel it. How do you explain that in terms that other people can feel? It's just the thrill of the sport. Last night I had the wonderment of meeting a guy by the name of Ross Anderson, the 154-mile-an-hour guy who still holds the record. What makes him do it? What makes him stand at the top of this hill, going straight downhill with no turns, and hit 154 miles an hour? Beats the hell out of me. He's even more crazy than I am. But there's a thrill there that all of us in this room have felt. And I don't know how you explain that. I'd like to hear you explain it. What is it?
Hollis Snyder said, 1924, it is speed, not touring, that is the lure to get people to try this.
Yeah. I mean, I can translate this to my days back in New York City when we were kids, and we used to have these sleds called flyers, that you used to jump on and you slid down the hill. It had two rails and a little bit of a steering wheel, and we would find the steepest hill that we could find to go slide down that hill. So it's the same thing. There is something fascinating about sliding on snow, going downhill at a decent rate of speed.
So, have you seen, or can you put into words this change we're seeing in winter? Thinking global warming here.
Can I put into words? Yeah, I'm very, very concerned about it. I think the ski industry has a problem. In fact, the world has a problem. I mean, it's very obvious that Sun Valley does not have the depth of snow that it used to have, that the seasons are shorter, that the snowstorms are much less predictable. We're running out of water in many places in the world. And I don't know how we fix this. Between the environmental issues and the cost of doing this sport, of participating in this sport, this industry has a problem. Because the number of hills are going to have issues. If you can't make snow, you are in deep trouble. And the snow that you make is subject to temperature variations. Last time we were here in Sun Valley, or better still, today, this is a short season.
Yeah, my home mountain is Mad River Glen up in Vermont.
Okay?
No, we don't have much snowmaking.
And then you also have up there Cochrane Ski Area.
Nice.
And Cochrane Ski Area does not have any chairlifts. They have rope tows, pommel lifts, and T-bars. And every kid that wants to ski can ski for free. Gee, what a way to, you don't need much if that's all you need. But we've built these wonderful resorts that have a high maintenance cost. How do we continue this with global warming doing what it's doing?
Yeah, it's a paradox for us, for sure.
Mm-hmm. More ways than one. How many Olympians did we have this podium this year? How many? One. A guy by the name of Rick Cochran, who is Barbara Cochran's son. Okay? Wonder why that is. We have fewer and fewer Olympians. Right?
Right.
Not many people can afford $500,000 to put their kid in a youth program to hopefully get them to where they might qualify for a spot on the D team of the U.S. Olympic team. And then have to pay $40,000 after they get there to hopefully get, how many people can afford that? How many families? Very few. We ain't gonna have many Olympians podium.
Well, and as you said, Ryan Siegel Cochran had free skiing out his back door. And
yeah, it was a little hill, but the Cochrans have put a lot of people. In fact, all of those kids have gone to ski team. Now I don't know how they paid for it. It was cheaper in those days.
Well, Robbie, his cousin, started something called Redneck Racing, and that just meant he wasn't on the U.S. team. He knew he could come up with $10,000, but that would get him around to the races he wanted to go to, and he'd try and get the FIS points without the U.S. team. So.
Well, hell, chasing FIS points is, yeah, that can be expensive in itself. Yes, you got to be at the right place at the right time to collect the FIS points, to decrease the FIS points.
And went right by me. Yeah, but he just couldn't afford the U.S. team, and their family and friends helped him out.
I wonder if that's still a possibility. There's some reason it costs $500,000.
Well, as you say, the Cochrane Ski Area has a program, and they generate and put kids out there.
Mm-hmm.
They do.
Wish we had one in Mammoth.
Now, are you in Los Angeles these days, or San Diego these days?
I live in L.A., in Los Angeles, yeah. Mammoth is our home base. And when I was skiing, I had an Icon Pass. I turned 83 in January. And unfortunately, I have had to hang up my skis because while I can still ski, I can't breathe while I'm doing it. And two things seem to be necessary together. So, body has said, don't want to do this anymore. And it's amazing, Rick, what an emotional strain that puts on me to stand here at the bottom of any mountain and look up that hill and say, wow, I can't do this anymore. That it?
Yeah. Well, I'd probe you a little bit more about ski areas. What is your favorite ski area besides Sun Valley?
Snowmass, Colorado. Great ski area, wonderful ski area.
That's the hardest one to breathe at.
Yeah, but I didn't have to worry about that until a couple of years ago. You asked me what was my favorite.
Yeah.
So.